Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe, and I'm a weapon of mass destruction. Today is Sunday, November 25th, 2012. It is just past 9:30 at night. And I'm feeling good today. But I've been hearing some really creepy stuff. So, I want you all to picture this for a minute. If the government wanted to strike a target, by the government I mean Obama and his cronies, if he wanted to strike a target within the United States really bad, using a drone would probably be one of the most natural things for him to do. He's already been doing it in other countries. So, it requires no stretch of the imagination that, if it works for him there, it's going to work for him here. And gosh, there sure are a whole bunch of homegrown terrorists, aren't there? Yeah, right. All the fucking people that just want to survive. So picture this. He launches his first drone strike. And of course, he sends out some of his federal agencies to sow down a little bit of dissonance with the eyewitness accounts and things that other people are saying. So they come down and they say, this was definitely a gas leak. When, immediately prior to that, the local authorities had already said, we don't know whether it's a gas leak or not. And yet, Homeland Security comes in and says, yep, it's a gas leak. Gas explosion. Shit happens all the time. What can we do? Pipes get old and all that, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. But what they realize is there's still a portion of the masses that want to cast a critical eye on something like that and say, you know what? That doesn't look like a gas leak. That looks more like, military munitions were used there. Something like a Hellfire missile or some shit like that, right? The gas leak. So he wants to launch another drone strike on somebody else. Because, damn it, there's homegrown terrorists all over the place. Fuck you, Obama. So what does he do the second time? Well, he doesn't want people thinking it's a drone strike. He doesn't want people thinking that it's an intentional act. Of course, that would be the worst thing for him. So, he sets the stage first. He sends maybe an agent provocateur into whatever building it is, or maybe a building nearby. Maybe sets off a valve, releases some actual gas into the area, so people start smelling it. They start smelling this gas in the air. So they call 911, they call the authorities, and you get your, firefighters, your EMTs, you get your, the gas workers in the area trying to fix the problem. They say, yep, there's a leak, all right. We're going to fix it. And then just when they say everything's all honky-dory, gas leak's taken care of, BAM! Launches the fucking strike, right? And now everybody's thinking, oh shit, well, I guess we didn't get the gas leak in time, now did we? And that's just perfect too, because now it sows a little bit of confusion, a little bit of discord in the population, the part of it at least that wants to say it's a drone strike, or at least something that was man-made and not, just a freak accident of nature. And you know what that does? That gives him free fucking reign. Because you know what? He's already launched 2 drone strikes in 2 weeks. People think it's 2 gas explosions in 2 weeks. Maybe all those pipes are just laid out at the same time, right? And they all just decided to bust at the same time. And they all happen to have pilot flames or fucking rogue sparks or some bullshit to set it off. So that sets the stage, and now he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can launch drone strikes everywhere. And now it's like, holy shit, there's a calamity happening. Everybody's like, oh fuck, there's gas pipes bursting all over the place. What are we gonna do? All sorts of confusion, no sorts of answers, because only one group of people has all the answers. What I'm talking about is, of course, there was that initial gas explosion in Indianapolis, or at least that's what the authorities say it is. You know, I, for one, right from the start said it was a freaking drone strike. You know, I don't care how many other freaking gas explosions there have been in the past. You know, guarantee, if they work at it enough, if they haven't already developed it, they can develop a warhead that mimics the disaster of a gas explosion or some such nonsense like that. Meth lab, who the hell knows? Because the war on drugs is sure going swell, ain't it? And then the second explosion I'm talking about, the second blast, the second strike, was in a town called Springfield, Massachusetts. And I already commented on a couple videos where they showed footage of that. And I had somebody comment back to me saying that he was in that area and he lived a couple towns over, and it was on the local news, and they were already on site talking about that gas leak. Well, you know what? If it didn't work the first time around, if there were people raising questions the first time around, that would be the first thing they would do. They would set the stage, they would set it up to make it look like they were trying to take care of the gas leak, problem before it got out of hand. And whoops, they were just too slow. You know, unless you can tell me that legitimately, you know for a fact that there was no shit, a gas leak in the area, and they definitely found the cause. And you know what? I don't expect to hear any sort of truth from the mainstream media and half of the alternative media. And then the third explosion in Modesto, California, I believe. So that's 3 explosions in 3 weeks. You know, law of averages kind of tells me that shit just shouldn't happen. And there's people out there that really believe that this is just freak accidents, 3 in 3 weeks. Kind of pisses me off a little bit. But you know what? I'm not too pissed off. I kind of accept it for what it is. You know, they're exercising their power of military might. They're exercising their ability to manipulate the masses and have people just act as the unofficial mouthpieces and just spread the lies. When, you know what? Even if it wasn't a drone strike, and I'll tell you what, seeing the flash from the footage from Springfield kind of tells me that it was not a gas explosion. All right? All you have to do is find stock footage, archived footage of airstrikes launched in theaters of war. Modern airstrikes. They have it. They have it. AC-130s, mortar strikes, artillery strikes, Apache strikes. They have all sorts of footage of bombs going off and explosions, and you always see that backblast flash taking the path of least resistance, because even though the shaped charge blows forward, the nature of any explosion, it's a fluid, basically, just like any liquid like water. It takes a path of least resistance. That's how firearms work, all right? So if a missile or a rocket goes through the roof of a building, all the flames and all the freaking heat and energy getting given off by that explosion is not only going to go forward because it's a shaped charge, but it's also going to go directly backwards because there's a hole in the fucking ceiling. It's just like launching a freaking rock at a pond. Alright? And I'm sure everybody's done that before. Or at least most of you. Or some of you. Somebody out there has got to have launched a freaking rock in a pond. When it splashes, it does splash outward, but you see a huge geyser basically coming up directly behind where that rock was coming from. It's a damn good analogy, I think. You know, just take a look at all that footage out there. You'll see the flash. If it's footage from the ground, you'll see that flash up in the air. If it's footage from the people launching the strike, you'll see that flash coming directly back towards the camera. And here's another thing that I think it would be a good idea to take a look at. Take a look at terrorist footage, all right? All sorts of terrorist cells out there. Once we kicked off those wars on terror, started coming out of the woodwork and started launching strikes at Americans or other coalition forces in the theaters of war. And there's one thing that most of them have in common. When they want their work, their handiwork televised to whoever they're going to send it to, they have a PR cell on the ground. Somebody with a camera, somebody with a camcorder, taking footage, you know, watching the area, you see nothing, maybe they're jibber-jabbering in whatever language, and then boom! Big, massive, nasty explosion from an IED, or whatever they're using, and they take out whatever target. And that's exactly what happened in Springfield. You can, come on. You're going to tell me that the cameras just happen to be rolling on the area and the perfect angle to take a look at that blast, that flash, just because they were talking about a gas leak? Come on. If it was a local news station, for one thing, only 1 or 2 cameras would have been on that area. They would have been focused on the reporter on the ground, not on the building that just happened to blow the fuck up. So, what do we do about it? Well, I'm still working on my idea, and I hope people out there have been taking a critical eye and actually, doing some research on it, on the idea of modeling a microcosmic society that we can all participate in willingly or not, at will. That's the whole thing. You know, if you're willing to share your skills and, possibly some of your supplies with whatever group you can hook up with, that will guarantee your survival a lot better than trying to go on your own. And I had my ideas on bug out bag and everything, and that's great and all for the short term if I get caught in some sort of a disaster, but in a lot of cases we wouldn't need to worry quite so much if we were in a group of people like-minded, already thinking about survival, and then whatever happens, shit hits the fan, whatever, we can all work together and work through it, go to wherever we feel like we need to go. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a freaking lunatic here. I don't think so, though. I think what it is they're reaching the end game. Shit's heating up in the Middle East. There's reports of the Russians moving in, sending in warships next to Gaza, preparation. There's reports of, attacks and counterattacks between the Israelis and the Palestinians. There's all sorts of shit happening. And I think it's time for us to really start buckling down and saying, okay, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do? We've been screaming and shouting the words. We've been screaming and shouting the truth as we know it. And all of us have a bit of a different idea of what's going on. And you know what? That's fine. I'm sick of hearing all the infighting, between the people that say it's the prophecies of the Bible are coming true and Jesus Christ is going to come in and save everybody, fighting with the people that are saying it's going to be an evolution of the mind into a higher state of consciousness and being, fighting with the people that are saying that there's a race of lizard people infiltrating the human race. And you know what the fact of the matter is? We can all agree on one thing, one common denominator on all of us. You know what that is? Shit out there in the world is starting to get really fucked up. So I think it's time for us to stop fighting with each other and trying to scream who's right and who's wrong. We can all recognize that there's some bad shit going on, some bad juju. I think it's time for us to stop the fighting and start working together, formulating plans amongst ourselves. All right? I know, as for me, generally I only reach out, and I only reach out and touch maybe 100, 150 people, not even in each individual video. But, every single time, I guarantee there's at least one person or two people, maybe even three, who have not heard anything of all the stuff we're talking about. And maybe it's a little confusing to them at first, but, they can kind of see the grain of truth sitting in there. They can kind of see, and realize that the shit that the people in charge are telling us is not really the truth. That they're preparing us for some sort of an event. That there's some sort of massive, multi-generational chess game being played, and we are all just a bunch of pawns. We're all a pack of pawns, and we got no kings, queens, rooks, bishops to back us up, and they're all stacking the cards. But we can stack her right back. You know how we do it? We work together. We willingly help each other. And stop fighting about semantics over who's infiltrating who. And realize that we're all right about one thing. And we got to focus on that one thing and do what we can to peacefully solve the problem. Key word, peacefully. I have no problem with using force to defend myself. If somebody attacks me, I'll use whatever force is necessary to preserve my life and the lives of those around me. But we got to do this peacefully. The idea of states peacefully seceding from the Union, that appeals to me. Chances are it probably wouldn't happen that way. If they respond, they're going to respond with force. In which case, we have the right to defend ourselves, using whatever force it takes to repel the attack. But in order to do any of that, in order to survive in any capacity here, when whatever cataclysm they have prepped for us hits us, we need to be able to work together. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, Hindu, Krishnas, Vedics, it doesn't matter. What matters is everybody has their own beliefs, and we got to be willing to respect the belief systems of those around us. Respect that they are searching for the truth in their own way. And stop pushing our own version of what we think the spiritual is. Because whatever it is, it is. And all that leaves us here to do on this earth is to just do the best we can, day by day. We got to do it together. That old standby term, united we stand, divided we fall. Well, this is the time to stand. With 3 strikes, what do you want to bet? There's going to be another gas explosion in another week or so. Some sort of an unexplained event. They're setting up this pattern. Setting up this cover story. And they're setting us up to fall. But if we work together to survive together and put aside all of our differences and petty arguments and bitches and moans and gripes about the way one person believes things against the way another person believes things, and just focus on the problem and how we can solve it. Refer to my last episode. And you know what? Every group is going to be different. But I think the key here is that we all got to be willing to share what we got in order to survive together. And we all got to be willing to not, castigate one person or group of people just because they happen to believe something other than what we do. There is no us and them. We're all people, human beings of the planet Earth. Just like Master of Many Things is always saying. You know, and that guy's got some good messages too, and I like his videos. But you know what? What really strikes me the most, every video he starts off with, you know, greetings, human beings from the planet Earth. That's who we are. You know, we're all human beings from the planet Earth. None of us is any better or any worse than anybody else. We all got our own beliefs. We got to learn to respect the beliefs of others and not shit all over them. That's all I got for right now. Y'all stay safe. Peace.